What's our biggest takeaway right now with TikTok Shop?
The simplicity of having a successful business in general on e-commerce and on TikTok Shop is, a lot of sellers I've seen go in and set it up incorrectly.
Honestly, I believe that there's 4 stages to TikTok. One is setup. The first one is optimization, where you're getting your cost per acquisition down from something to down to $4 or $5 per unit. And then the next one would be brand ambassadorship. The goal is to get it so that you have a team of creators building the brand. So you have, instead of sending out 600 samples to 600 creators, you have 60 creators making 100 videos each, which makes it better for the brand. In return, what you do is you can make games where you invest in your team. That is my 4-step strategy for TikTok.
It's been 2 months. I think our audience has been banging the doors down, just shaking the walls trying to get the next episode.
I had a bunch of protesters outside my house right now going, "Where's the Bullseye YouTube channel gone?"
I know. It's been brutal. So I figured we'd give them what they want. Bring it back.
Bring it back.
Yeah. One thing that I feel like we should touch on, since we always like to go this way and then eventually go back to e-commerce, I think we should talk about some of the corruption that they have found that Elon and Trump have found in some of that funding. Have you guys heard about that?
You mean the condoms to Gaza?
Yeah. And so
it gets way deeper than that.
It gets
way deeper.
So they brought up the condoms in Gaza, and they said that Musk, you found out that you were actually incorrect, and they're actually going to like Mozambique or something like that. And he's like, yeah, we're not going to be 100% of the time. He said, and it is better, I guess, that they're going from Gaza to Mozambique for the prevention of AIDS. But how many condoms does $50 million really buy? And is that really a good investment for America? I mean, regardless of where it goes, is that really a good investment? I thought that was pretty humorous. But let's talk about some of the ones that are just outlandish. So how about Social Security funding people that are 150 years old? How about that?
I mean, they got to eat.
They got to eat too, my friend. The 150-year-olds. Also, $50 million to a New York hotel to fund illegal immigrants to have a luxurious stay in America while they're here.
And on top of that, they actually pay double the room rate.
Yeah, I know. On top of that, they double the room rate. The hotel gladly accepted double the room rate for the illegal immigrants that are not supposed to be here in the first place. Give them a luxury experience in America when they entered illegally. It's so funny.
It's ridiculous. And he was talking about yesterday on this interview that he was saying that in the Treasury Department, it's lacking some of the just basic fundamentals of accounting, such as categorization of transactions, as well as a description of what the transaction is for. So, and not having these things, you can't actually audit the books because you don't know where anything is going. And so that's why the government consistently is failing audits, because none of the money is accountable, which is a huge outpoint. The second thing he brought up was that there's something called a do not pay list, which takes about a year to get on, which is like terrorists, fraudsters, people that we just should not be sending money to, and we are sending them money. So I find that incredibly interesting.
The biggest question I had is, how do I get on their payee list? Because apparently,
I was thinking the same thing.
And I'm like, listen, guys, if you're going to send $50 million to somebody, send $50 million to me. I'm a vendor of the government, right? I can provide a service of some kind. I don't have to name out what I do. You can write me a check with no memo on it, and I'll gladly accept it. And I definitely want 20 years of tax refunds back in my bank account. And so, but apparently it's easy for any Joe Blow to get on this payee list, or it has been. I guess it's cleaner now. But if we knew about this literally 3 months ago, I would have gladly accepted being a vendor of the government of some kind. And I'm like, I regret not submitting.
I feel like we missed the window because, and all you have to do is a 3-month contract, and then you're on the pay list for 20 years.
That was the funniest story, was the one that you just brought up.
Yeah, the 3-month one. I'm just not good at finding those opportunities. I just seem to just do the hard work for low pay, and whatever. Can't kick myself forever.
You just got to basically join Congress, and then you know about how easy it is to get written a check from the U.S. government. Well, yeah. I think so. That's another point is like, okay, well, how many people through a third party, like, okay, you have an unmemoed check going $50 million going to blah blank. We don't even know what it's for. And then what's the kickback for whoever in whatever politician for that $50 million check. It's all hidden, right? We don't even know what it's for. It's a memo regarding it. Who's getting a kickback from that, right? Somebody's getting money. And that's so when you audit, and the problem is now you got to go audit the personal bank accounts of politicians and Congress people and maybe people in the Senate or whoever that's getting some kickback from this $100 or this $1 billion funding project for whatever, right? Who's making money on that?
He was saying that right now it's hundreds of billions or something, but he believes that the fraud and the incompetence could get up to potentially $1 trillion. He believes. Now, personally, if this was like Enron, if this was AT&T, I wouldn't care. But this is actually the U.S. taxpayer dollar. So every year when you sit there and you write a check, probably the worst check that you absolutely hate every year, going to the IRS, and then you find out that you're funding condoms in Africa, like that kind of makes my blood boil a little bit.
Yeah, it's pretty brutal, man. And
I'm curious to know, at least for my charitable contributions to Gaza and Africa, how many people did not get AIDS as a result of my donation to their condom association over there?
I feel like I should at least get like a coupon code from Trojan or something.
Seriously, like, do I now not have AIDS because of that project that happened? Like, maybe I would have gotten AIDS had those condoms not gone out.
All right. So my question is, how do we transition this AIDS conversation into TikTok Shop? So someone help me there. Someone help me get into e-commerce here.
I got it. Okay. So when we first started this journey on TikTok, it was AIDS. So, and it was painful. And honestly, that is why the demand for an agency is so great. And that's why when we met with TikTok in Vegas, they said the missing component is the agency, is because the setup on TikTok was so difficult. And so in a humorous way, I would say it's AIDS, kind of in a joking manner. But the problem was true. Most people didn't know how to set up their products. They didn't know how to get past category. They didn't know how to get past the account health. And so there's my transition. There's my
well said. So
yeah,
now we are, guys, what would you say? We're 8 months into our TikTok Shop journey. 8 months. Yeah. We started in the summer, right? You both started your first accounts in the summer. What have we learned? I mean, and especially now that TikTok is not yet banned and we're still managing accounts, what's our biggest takeaway right now with TikTok Shop? Eric, what do you think?
I'd say a couple of key points, and it's very top of funnel, I guess you can call it points, but the simplicity of having a successful business in general on e-commerce and on TikTok Shop is, a lot of sellers I've seen go in and set it up incorrectly. So first and foremost, TikTok has different policies for listings than Shopify. Right? Shopify is very open. Like, you can say whatever you want. You can say fat burners. You can say all kinds of ridiculous claims. You can't say cures cancer, but Shopify has some restrictions. But it's obviously it's your own website. It's pretty open territory. But TikTok does not have the same policy. So if you're syncing the two together, you got to make sure your I's are dotted and your T's are crossed on your claims on Shopify that port over to TikTok on that sync, because literally it will cause accounts to get shut down. Right? So, and that's one thing we've learned as managing and like, hey, this guy's like, oh, we'll do TikTok Shop. And we're like, great, let's set it up. And then we're like, oh, we can't say all this stuff you're saying on your Shopify. So we're going to have to edit a lot of your list. And then obviously the basic legality of it, the trademark set up and getting all that stuff done and submitted, because nobody does that. And it's like, let's get it set up correctly. And then second, an aspect of it is, this is real marketing. This isn't just like, there's no magic button in TikTok. These are real people selling your product, right? This isn't like TikTok's going to blow up. It's going to blow up because you invested into your brand and you were confident in your products, that you actually got them in users' hands and they began promoting your product based on the benefits they achieved or the problems it solved. Now, also, if you're so confident in your brand, why don't you do also your own TikTok lives and your own postings on your branded account to really create on that brand and try to get it into more people's hands? And that it really works as a synchronized effort to achieve like real success. And it's not like in one day. You do posts every day on your brand. You do lives once or twice a week, and you do the UGC creators. That's what I've seen. These TikTok shops, they blow up. The brand actually explodes on Amazon, on Shopify, and on TikTok Shop because the owner is passionate, and that passion is reflected in their product and in the shop and in doing lives. So like some guy buying products from China and trying to get on TikTok Shop, who doesn't give a rat's ass about what the product is, they don't actually really get success. So like,
Hmm.
I'll turn down people. I don't want to manage your shop. You don't give a shit about your products. Like you don't really care. There's no passion there. You don't even want to do lives. You don't want to do postings. There's nothing going to happen, right? How are people going to be inspired from your product? And in the end, that's strategy.
One thing I would add first, well said, Michael. One thing I would add to that is there's a little difference between Amazon and TikTok on the trademark issue. We have found that Amazon is content with a serial number and TikTok wants a registration number. And so that is a little difference that I have noticed. So your trademark needs to be approved. And that is a little bit of a difference. So if you're a new brand and yada, yada, that might not necessarily be a good fit. Also, you're building a brand. And so this is probably more for established brands, people that have had some success and want to have some top of funnel promotion for their product. And there is no better way, in my opinion, than TikTok at this time based on the cost. Right now, it's affordable. The fees from TikTok are reasonable. It's new. It's hot. It's the same as email marketing. Like that was hot until it wasn't. And then there was AdWords and so forth. And we go through trends and there was Meta. But right now, the TikTok is hot. It is cheap. And so there's still more customers increasing than there are brands. So it's similar to Amazon was a few years ago when there was a kind of that gold rush where you could be on page one or you could be getting massive growth in your first year. Now Amazon is very sophisticated and it's much more competitive. It's still very doable, but it's just a harder game. TikTok is a lot easier, but like Michael said, you have to believe in your product, because when real people try your product and they pick up a toy and the arm falls off, like that video is being shown to the world. So if your product is garbage, like then it's not going to pass the test. So in my opinion, the one thing that I think is kind of what TikTok changed permanently is overly commercialized videos, I believe, are kind of dead. People want authentic videos with authentic results from real people. People don't trust when a brand says mine is organic, mine is better than the competitors, mine is not greasy, mine is not this. Everybody knows the same tricks. They want to see somebody open up the bottle. They want to see what the seal. They want to see the person to apply the product to their skin. They want to see the results. And if they don't get results, then the product is done for. So it's essentially, it's kind of putting the brand to a standard of it, how it produces in real time. And I think that authenticity is changing the game. And if you look at like Amazon Creators is trying to catch up with TikTok, you got Flip.shop, which is doing a great job. And so I think that going forward, I think a creators is going to change the top of funnel game permanently. And I do believe that's from TikTok.
And what do you think's the easiest and most realistic way for a brand to scale TikTok? Is it through UGC? Is it through affiliate content? Is it through paid ads? Is it hoping a product goes viral? Like, what do you think is the kind of 1, 2, 3 doable list of actions that a brand should take? Because it seems like there's a lot of bullshit too out there on the subject.
There is a lot of bullshit. So I think this is a standard flow chart for a company, right? So you have the first part of any flow chart for any brand is their product development and their design. So that where you can't have a brand without a product. And what product do you choose? So that's the first and foremost problem. A Me Too product is tougher, right? It's harder to get into a market with an electrolyte that everyone has electrolytes. It's harder to get into a market where you're just making a generic shampoo, right? What is the shampoo for? Who is it for? So when you're doing a new e-commerce brand, or you have an existing e-commerce brand, first and foremost is what is your market research process and how does that look like? How are you developing your products? Who are you developing them for? And what hole or problem in the market are you solving better than other people, right? So, but let's take a look at that. A lot of Amazon sellers develop products because they see that Nike is crushing it, or they see that a huge brand with a huge marketing and D2C budget is crushing it. So they go, I could do that too. And I have a manufacturer that can make that product. There's your first mistake. If you were to take what this big brand with literally a $2 million marketing budget is doing and try to compete against them, you probably won't win or get much of their market share at all, probably less than 1%.
And you'll never get their cost of goods.
So first, means your process for achieving a real product is incorrect. You just looked at Amazon and saw someone was crushing it. Well, why are they crushing it? Is you have to understand. So the process, I covered this on actually a different podcast a few days ago, but the process for achieving that is look at TikTok, look at what's trending, look at what's hot, look at what's viral, look at what people are talking about. And more often than not, you'll find people are talking about a problem that there's not even a product that exists for it yet. And I see on my TikTok feed, because I spend hours on market research on TikTok, plus I just like TikTok for educational purposes, but I see all kinds of problems. And these sellers, there's a video. Here's a great example. Did you guys ever see the video of RFK on the airplane putting blue liquid inside of his water? Did you guys see that?
No.
So he put a product, a dripper of blue liquid. I forgot the exact name of this product, but he put a blue liquid in his water, and it's a health supplement. So what does a seller do? Right, this video goes viral of RFK on a private jet putting blue liquid in his water. So what does the seller do? He goes and gets that blue liquid, finds out what it was, puts it on TikTok Shop. What happens? The product goes viral. So he went with a trend. He saw an existing trend that a product was not readily available for. People didn't know what it was. And then he used creators to use that RFK video and make a product based on that. Brilliant. So he looked at what the market was wanting and he made a product. That is good market research, right? The seller knew exactly what he was doing, and he found a hole, right? He found a high demand product with no supply. I find those every day, by the way. Almost every day I'll see a high demand product with no supply. That's your market research process. Use TikTok, use social media to find out what the people want. And that's a survey. And now go and make your product. And then now your ease to the market and your cost per acquisition of each customer is super low.
One thing that I would add is that getting RFK as a affiliate might be a bit difficult. And so, but I would say that the one thing that it does say is
that get RFK as affiliate. By the way, he just used the clip of RFK on the plane that went viral with the blue liquid. He just the user,
an unofficial affiliate.
Yeah,
unofficial affiliate, right? Use that.
One thing I would say that and it's pretty genius the way that they did that is what does he stand for? Well, he stands for health, right? That's his big make America healthy again. So if him using this product, it basically is him kind of basically stating that this product is of a standard of him taking himself, which communicates to the country. So that right there is priceless. One thing I would add, I believe the question was what would be best practices, I believe, to getting started. Was that the question, Ian?
Yeah, like what are they, because TikTok does feel a little bit like a black box. It feels a little bit like you just go there and you're like, what do I do now? Where Amazon is a little bit more clear. You put up a listing, you run ads. Not that much more complicated. TikTok's not like that. You can't just run ads. You have to have things before you can run ads. What are those things you have to have before you can run ads?
Yeah. One thing you also said was something about UGC versus affiliate. So one thing that I would just since I'll just talk about that one point. So there's two different ways there's content. There is the affiliate videos, and then there is your branded videos, which is typically where your UGC content goes. Now, UGC content is essentially an arrangement that you've worked out with a creator to get them to make a video for you based on certain talking points and hooks and etc., with the permission to use their video however you see fit, and you typically post it. Now, that works fantastic. It can now, but to promote that, you have to use custom shop ads, and that can do great, but it's a different approach. Now, some people have a whole team towards making creative content, and they're working on creating things to go viral. And for things to go viral, it has a lot to do with how much of the video did they watch, engagement, things of that nature. Having and a hook is essentially the reason why you finish the video. So if there's not a proper hook, they just scroll, right? So because there's no interest. So UGC, in my opinion, if you don't have the right team, and it can take longer. It takes longer to test that, in my opinion. The affiliate side, though, I think is if you look at the statistics for most brands, you'll see that about 80 to 90% of the revenue comes from affiliate videos. And the reason being is that TikTok created a system that is completely new and fresh, and probably will be the standard going forward, which is that they put the creators first. They built into the system by incentivizing them to make videos for a brand, and they get paid first. And so they're incentivized to make the best video they can, which is good for the customer. It's real, it's authentic, as well as it's good for the brand. So they created that win-win-win. And so my opinion, where I would start is affiliate content. getting
so
those.
Let's clarify that, Eric. So affiliate would be someone that is a TikTok user that has a minimum number of followers eligible. I think it's 5,000, or is it less? And they are eligible to receive commission in exchange for a free sample. So they receive the sample, they do a commission, you set the commission rate, the brand sets the commission rate, 15%, 20%, etc. They post on their personal channel, hey, I love this product, it's awesome, it really helped my eczema, made my skin feel smoother, etc., etc., etc. Then what do you do with that video as a brand? You can run what type of ads on it? Because you were saying there's
Two different
targeted
types.
ads. Yeah, so
Yeah.
let's talk about the two different types of ads and why one is better than the other, and why UGC can only receive one, or we don't know why. But if you have
So
an
there's,
affiliate
yeah.
video, which is the best, what should you do with that video to pump it? That's my question to you.
Okay, well, there's two different types of ads. There's the custom shop ads and there's the GMV Max ads. Now, personally, I'm a fan of the GMV Max ads, as they are essentially an auto campaign on steroids. They essentially go through all of your products, and they go through all of your.
What do you mean all of your products? They
So-
go through all your.
So even if your products do not have videos, they have something called a product card. And so it will still show your product card as an advertisement to people on TikTok. So it's going to show all the videos and all of the product cards. And so, for example, let's say you're working with somebody on promoting one product and it's going well, but then you notice a second product starts to get sales and you're not even making videos for that product. Well, that's basically the customer's telling you that, hey, this video has potential, and you might want to make some videos for that video. So it's for that product. So it's basically it's a good way to get data. And there is one downside on TikTok, which is that when doing a GMV Max ad on one product, you can't do custom shop ads at the same time for that one product. But you can pick which products you want to do it for, and you can limit the ones that you have. Now, I personally believe you should build up a lot of converting videos before you switch over to the custom shop ads, because in the beginning, I believe you can lose your shirt by going that route. So I would recommend using the GMV Max ads. Feel like they are fantastic, and it's the best way to get started. Now, one thing I would also say is that videos take time to get into the algorithm. It's not Amazon. It's not it's not an instant gratification. So it takes time to build. It takes time for the videos to categorize correctly, be shown to enough people, and for them to eventually get the GMV. Honestly, I believe that there's 4 stages to TikTok. One is setup. The first one is optimization, where you're getting your cost per acquisition down from something to down to $4 or $5 per unit. And then the next one would be brand ambassadorship. The goal is to get it so that you have a team of creators building the brand. So you have, instead of sending out 600 samples to 600 creators, you have 60 creators making 100 videos each, which makes it better for the brand. And in return, what you do is you can make games where you invest in your team, and that is my 4-step strategy for TikTok. And I think that that's what I do, and I recommend.
Interesting. So, how many videos would you recommend affiliate wise? How many affiliate videos would you recommend a brand has before they turn on those GMV Max ads?
Well, one thing that you should be aware of is a lot of people are starting with a new account, and TikTok is all based on thresholds. So you can only reach out to a certain amount of creators. And the first threshold you're going to run into is getting a first sale on a video. And so you are limited. Once you get that first sale, it then opens up your threshold to be able to reach out to more creators. So essentially, TikTok is limiting the amount of garbage brands that can inundate the inbox of creators and trying to limit it to the ones that know what they're doing and actually have value. So I actually think that is a good thing that they are doing. It's just something you need to be aware of. So I like to start with 50. So what I recommend is 150 per product that they want to start with. And I like to start it after 50 videos just to get some information. But the way that the GMV Max ads work is there's 2 different ways you can do it. You can do a max, which basically shows it to as many users based on a spend limit, or you can do it based on a target ROAS. Now, the target ROAS is an amazing feature, but sometimes it limits your impressions because sometimes the customer, they don't believe that customer will convert at a 2 ROAS, and so it won't show the ad. So these are the 2 settings that you have for the GMV Max ad. And I think you should wait till 40, 50 videos, start getting some data. First thing that should happen is you start to get some sales at an unprofitable level. Then you can optimize the listing, optimize the offer, and then eventually get the cost per acquisition down. So once you're starting to convert, then the next thing is scaling. So which is pretty much the marketing formula: traffic, conversion, scale.
There you go. And what about you, Michael? Do you concur? Do you have any adjustments on that? Any other tips?
It's pretty similar to how I do it, honestly. Like it's just, I think Eric's way is a very best practice. Like, I mean, I've started ads much sooner than 50 videos.
Sure.
It only depends on when there's performance. So if I have some performance at 20 videos, I will for sure turn on on the videos, right? So my biggest thing is I want to break through the first few amount of sales as fast as possible, because I need to get the, I guess you could call it the TikTok GMV scorecard higher. So I need to get that to break through the next set of barriers, create a reach out, et cetera, that I can do. So if I don't have any converting videos at 20, I'll definitely get another 20, right? So I just try to get as many as possible in the
You
beginning.
can't have too many, really.
You can't have too many. I mean, like if I can reach 200, like there's, I've gotten as many as 200 in a month, like what, like just shotgunning it just to try to get some of those that are converting and have good engagement and qualify for advertising.
Yeah,
So,
makes sense.
but the idea of, yes, you want as many videos as possible to begin like really getting a return. I don't generally do ROAS based because I want omni-channel sales. So like TikTok's ROAS algorithm, I guess you can call it, is going to limit impressions too much, and I want as many impressions as possible. The only time I'll do or I'll really consider turning on the ROAS feature, I think, as Eric says, is later on when I'm really trying to optimize for profit, but I don't have any account, because the two things I'm looking at on return are also omni-channel sales, right? I'm looking at other platforms and their sales, and as a reflection of TikTok. So that's why I'll do more impression-based CPM, I guess you could say, driven advertising, which is CPM means cost per thousand. I'm looking at impressions as opposed to ROAS on my ads. I don't care about ROAS on my ads, especially when I'm trying to get, just top of funnel sales, top of funnel brand awareness, growing the brand as a whole.
Makes sense. And I get this question a lot. Like people ask me, how many affiliate videos do I need? And the answer is as many as you can get. But I guess there is an answer of what is the minimum amount that would be an acceptable number for you to actually have some success. And what would you guys say? I would say about 100 to 150 videos a month would be like a minimum effort to put into a particular product.
100 a month. It was always my minimum. I'm like, it just doesn't really, like 100 starts the ball rolling.
Sure.
So now there's different products. Like if I have a $150 price point product and the cost of goods is $40, different strategy. So I'm not going to do 100 products a month. So now this is where you get into, well, what kind of brand do you have? If you have a high ticket item is not going to be 100 a month. It's going to be, so like what I typically do is I get brand ambassadors on a contract, because I want 100 videos a month. So I guess the strategy in this is the same, right? I don't want 100 creators a month. And really for any brands, the ideal selling strategy is, a limited number of creators. I don't want to give out 100 samples, but if there's 100 good creators that qualify, I will. But if I can get, 20 or 30 creators constantly posting about one brand, it also forms trust with a creator repeating videos, right? So then I'll typically get better results that way. And if you have a higher ticket item, that's a much better way to go. Get 5 creators that you're contracted with, that you can pay some extra money for, to constantly post twice a week about that brand.
Oh yeah, one thing that I would add to that, one thing that I love about e-commerce is that there is no one way to do anything. There's multiple strategies, and some work for one brand, and then you need a different strategy for another brand. And that's the beauty of having an agency, is that we know all the strategies, which is why we're here. So the one viewpoint that I would like to put into every brand's mind is, so when you're doing, like, if you were to do a video and post it on Meta, like how much would it cost to get 50,000 people to see it, right? How much money would that cost? On TikTok, it can cost $3. Like, it can be the cost of the item, and that video could be shown to 50,000 people. So you need to look at how the cost from TikTok, from Facebook versus TikTok versus consumer impressions is incredible right now. So like, we have a video that we gave them a product that cost us maybe $5, and 50,000 people saw that. Now on TikTok or on Facebook, could you have the same result? I mean, can you have an army of $5 product, getting hundreds of thousands of new brand awareness to your product. I mean, the top of funnel aspect of TikTok is out of this world. And I do not think that it will stay this way forever. So I do think that people need to take advantage of the outreach that is possible today.
I guess you could call it, let's just look at it from a basic metric standpoint of CPM, right? How much, like you just mentioned, what's the cost for 1,000 people viewing your brand, which is the metric CPM, right? Look at any other platform. Look at Pinterest, look at Twitter, look at or X, look at Meta products, right? Like Instagram, Facebook. Look at the cost per 1,000. Just do any basic ad campaign. Let's say you're international and you don't have a US TikTok shop account. Look at the advertising, just the third-party advertising cost per 1,000 on TikTok to an external link, right? The cost per 1,000 on TikTok and the cost, or the CPA is the other metric, the cost per acquisition to acquire a lead, to acquire a customer is so low in comparison to anything like Eric just mentioned. It's literally sometimes 100th, 100th, or 1,000th of the cost of other platforms in many cases. And you're like, wait a minute, I can spend $1,000 or I can spend $1. You're like, I'll spend the $1 for the same exact result.
Absolutely. And one thing that I would add to that, after you see that you're spending 1,000 times less, is the video continues to get views forever. So
that's right.
It
you
is
spend your $5 and it keeps going. It keeps returning for in many cases. Sometimes it doesn't. It just, you spend the $5 and it just sits there. But many cases it does.
Absolutely. So I think that the new gold rush in e-commerce is definitely TikTok. And one thing that you touched on early on in your first statement regarding it was you're talking about the off-channel effect, like Amazon. So I mean, we worked with a brand that was suffering a little bit, kind of having a bad year last year, and by getting on TikTok, that product that was suffering just hit new all-time highs, and that is the TikTok effect. And you can also see it in the branded search, because people saw it on TikTok and they go on Amazon and they search for it, and that search volume is measurable and the results are real.
I'm actually trying to measure that. I think we need enough data for enough period of time. One of our brands that we manage, Eric, the eczema brand, I want to talk to you about it, but I thought about what we could do is measure the branded search graph based on the revenue graph and figure out what a branded search, what that delta equals. So if branded search is 500 for a week and we get it to 2,000 and the sales go from, let's say, 100,000 a month on Amazon to 120,000, what is that delta worth, so that we can track branded search value? So I wanted to talk to you about that offline, but that's an interesting part of the topic. So I figured I'd put that in there.
Yeah.
I have another interesting case study of a brand that I've been off and on managing for a number of years now, since 23, and kind of consistently sitting in the $20,000 to $30,000 in sale a month. They instituted, or they put in TikTok marketing, TikTok affiliates. And within the first 2 months of doing that, after being stagnant for a number of 2 years or so, their brand just doubled in size on Amazon. So there wasn't a lot of significant branded search increases. And that was the major change, And so it's really hard to calculate, because how are they searching? Is it branded search? Is it just branded search? Or are they actually looking for the specific keywords of the product? Like if eczema, as you used earlier as an example, or an eczema cream, did they actually type in eczema cream and find the product on page 3? That wasn't a branded search. It was just from TikTok.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, when you look at a viral TikTok product, it's very clear. Like when you look at a really, really viral product, they're number one on non-branded, they're number one on short, long, medium, everything. They're just number freaking one. And that is because real life, and this is what Celico Real Search video that I just did last week about Celico. Real life is a combination of branded, unbranded, different autocompletes starting from different points, right? Cream for eczema, eczema cream. Different starts, different points. When you put cream for eczema, you're going to get a autocomplete that's different than eczema cream. That's just how it works. Then you get Spanish speaking. That's a whole nother world. Then you get misspellings. That's a whole nother world. So why is it that on Amazon now, the number one seller that's ranking on most keywords is usually, actually, majority of the time, is usually just doing well on TikTok? Why is it that they're winning on organic search? Because Amazon's algorithm is seeing and probably boosting and assisting, knowing that people are coming from a TikTok video in high volume, and branded search or not branded search, Amazon's going, we're going to reward this because you're driving traffic to Amazon. And it makes sense. What better way for Amazon to make money off TikTok other than reward the products that are doing well on TikTok?
That's how they make more money.
They're playing right into their hands. Amazon's only benefiting from all TikTok success right now. Genius.
So I had a seller that I talked to, just real quick on that point. I had a seller that talked to
Yeah.
that attempted to replicate the process with bot traffic or how a user of a viral video, right? So a combination of branded and non-branded search in sessions and sales and add to cart. And apparently it worked and he figured out a formula. I tried to replicate the formula. I couldn't. And because it was so many, it was like 50,000 page visits a day to replicate what Amazon thought was viral. So they pushed it to the top of search. And this guy went over the actual algorithm aspect that they built in based on viral traffic, right? And they went, okay, XYZ equals viral product equals put it to the top of search because everybody's looking for it. So there is a factor, but you obviously should really just go for having a viral product if you can by doing a lot of UGC and affiliate videos on TikTok.
But guys, we're on the right track. Eric really broke it down. Get those affiliate videos, those perform better, put the GMV max ads, set your ROAS targets. You're going to see scale, and all you need to see is scale, right, Eric? All you need to see is that first dollar receives $3. That first $2 receives $5. That's all you need, because once you have that, okay, I can do it again. Once you sold one, you can sell two. And then before you know it, you have a viral TikTok product, whether it's viral organically or viral with ads, who cares? What matters is that you're driving traffic to Amazon at scale. So it's funny these days, like when people ask me, what can I do about my Amazon sales? I go, it's what you're doing on TikTok. My whole mindset's changing. It's like Amazon's a shopping cart. I'm sure we can optimize your listings. I'm sure we can find a couple $1,000s in wasted spend on your ads. I'm sure we can pump a little extra. I'm sure maybe a little DSP here and there. But I don't feel as confident as I did 5 years ago. My hands are untied on Amazon alone. I feel like my hands are tied on Amazon alone because the competitors are driving traffic to Amazon. And if I'm not doing what they're doing, what am I doing? Losing.
Yeah, I would add one thing. Give me 1 second, Mike. One thing that I would say is, because we also manage Amazon brands, so sometimes we have access to the data and we can see it. And I do see the sales increasing. Sometimes you don't necessarily see it in branded search. Sometimes you get that search find by kind of thing where you don't really know what they search for. But one thing that I can see is that the sales are growing. And why are they growing? Well, for example, the eczema cream. We keep going back to that. If I look at how many impressions were seen, let's just say in the last 28 days. It was 1 million impressions last month. That is a crazy amount of people becoming aware of your product. So how they're searching for it, we can't necessarily quantify, but one thing we can say is that the sales are going up and the X factor from TikTok is real. And so if you're not getting 1 million impressions for, I don't know, the cost of that was like maybe $500, something to look into.
That's incredible. So you said 1 million impressions, and what would you say that cost for that particular example?
450 samples.
450 samples. Let's say the samples with shipping are $10 a unit. That's $4,500. Okay, interesting.
Yeah, it all depends on your cost of goods. But I think that the last 7 days was one video had 50,000. You out 28 days. That video is getting 260,000. But how many impressions did he get the month before? Like, I'm only looking at 28 days of data. So the effect is for the duration of the video. It's endless.
Yeah. Well, I think earlier is just I call it, and this is the sandbox effect, right? So like the sandbox that is Amazon that you can play in, the walls of the sandbox have shrunk, right? Like, what can you do and how can you operate and how can you function within this sandbox to grow your brand with the products that you have? So you have a couple of moves. You can launch new products and you can aggressively invest in PPC. If your SEO, assuming your SEO is really good and on point, you can invest into better branding or graphics, but those are all like the moves you can actually make within the sandbox are shrinking. So in the end, you have to get a bigger sandbox, right?
Yeah.
So let's go to a bigger sandbox or another sandbox to feed this one, right? Because it is just a platform. But people think that the sandbox is so massive and you can just grow on Amazon itself just with their strategy they're providing to you within their PPC platform. But the truth is, it's very limited. It used to be what's bigger, and now it's the walls are shrinking every year, smaller and smaller and smaller, to where you're like shoulder to shoulder within this little box.
Well, it's as long as I know what to do, and yeah. I feel like we're in the right direction when we know what to do. We're out of time, boys. I think the average American can only listen to about 4 minutes, and we went over by about 50 minutes or 55 minutes. So this is a good time to end. It was we're gonna get back to weekly calls, and we're gonna continue to share with everybody what we're learning and what we're finding. We are an open book at Bullseye. We don't hide any of our knowledge. If you want to take our knowledge and go do it yourself, we're perfectly fine with that. We just feel like it's probably going to be a natural inclination for you to hire us to do it for you anyway. So we just know that being open is better. But yeah, I'll see you guys next week, and it's good to be back for season 2. And hey, happy Valentine's Day, guys. Take your wife out.
Your loved ones.
Do something nice for the wifey.
Absolutely.
All right, brothers.
Cheers,
We'll talk
guys.
soon. Have a good one, everybody.